You are talking to Ree, where I come to talk to about what I have either watched on TV, read in the blogs, or heard in these streets. Today it is about what I have watched on TV. Yes, we are talking about Love After Lockup Season 4, Episode 48. Yes, I missed last week's episode, but I was so wrapped up in other things that I was just unable to square things away. But that's okay. We got it now. We are back and we are back in action. So, if you are new to my channel, my name is Ree. I do reviews on different shows, and I also talk about things that are going on in the news or in the blogs. Lately it has been reviews at this moment on TV shows, on reality shows for the most part. So if you like anything that you hear, please come back for more. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. I want us to grow this channel together. I am loving the feedback that I have been getting from you guys. I'm so appreciative. It really makes my day when I read them. And I want to hear all of your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree, as long as we're all respectful with it, of course. So let's go ahead and get started on this episode, right? Let's get some of the couples that gave us absolutely nothing out of the way. And what is the first couple that gave us nothing that we need to get out of the way? Marcelino and Brittany. Once again, I roll my eyes like the rest of you guys because it's like, why are they back? But for whatever reason, WeTV loves them, right? And don't get me wrong. I loved them until like last season that they were on, like their last season, that's a better way to put it, that they were on with the whole threesome matter. It was just very much a corny storyline. I was over them at that point, but whatever reason, they're back, right? So this episode really was nothing more than them speaking with Giovanni, their son, their amazing son, who usually is happy, but he's sad because the parents have been arguing in front of him. Parents, please stop arguing in front of the kids. That goes for them. That goes for everyone, all of us. Kids literally absorb the emotions, and it really messes with their esteem and their day. And now you're forced to have all of these long talks with them for conversations that really should not even involve children, right? So please let these kids go to bed, step outside and have that conversation. Let these kids go to school, and then you guys have these arguments. But definitely try not to do it in front of the kids, because now Marcelino and Brittany have gone to reassure Giovanni that, listen, it's going to be okay. Adults argue, we'll be fine. Doesn't change our love for you and your siblings, right? Okay, we move on. Taylor and Chance. Let's get Chance. Chance shows us every time just how trash of a person he is. But, we're already fully aware at this point. There's nothing more that he can do to surprise us, right? All right. So Taylor is telling her sister Bobby, who's in town, about the mishap and the things that's going on between her and Chance, right? Tells Bobby that, hey, you know what? I looked through his phone. I see that he's been communicating with a lady named Tanya that he's never introduced me to. And that, we got all these other issues. And Bobby is like, girl, what are you still doing with this man? Move on. Like, please. Like, all he's been doing is bringing you down. You see, that Bobby don't like Chance. And she never will, for the fact that you brought your home from prison and then decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to put you out in the garage. Sorry, guys. This man literally put her twin sister in the garage. And Taylor allowed it, right? So it's mostly on Taylor than it is on Chance, but it doesn't change the fact that Chance is a terrible person. So they decide to go ahead and follow Chance around to see exactly where he's going. Because Chance, where are you going? We know you're not going to work because you don't have a job. So are you going to job interviews? Like, are you going to fill out applications? Where are you going, Chance? Like, that's the only places you need to be going at this time since you have no income. Okay? So there's that. We move on. Let's get to Michael and Justine. Michael tells Justine about Mocha's conversation with him, right? That Mocha, the manager that signed on board again, had said, hey, hide your wedding ring, take it off. And while we're at it, I'm kind of upset that your wife is sitting over here pregnant. Like, as if, how are you upset that this man got his wife, not a random groupie, but his wife pregnant? Super weird, super out of line. And I wish that Michael would have checked him. But Michael is so adamant about Mocha being the only person that can get him to the top in music that is super, super duper like, what are we even talking about? But I digress. But, Justine, of course, is not going for it. And she's just like, no, absolutely not. You will not go and hide our love and hide our marriage and hide this baby because you are putting your career, your music career, above your family. And that is reminiscent of me being a single mother. It's very triggering, okay? Because I've been a single mother with my other 3 kids. And you are not going to tell me that I'm about to be a single mother with this 4th one. Absolutely not. And he's just like, well, I'm going to do what I need to do for our career. Rolling of the eyes, Michael. We move on. Let's get to Lindsay and Blaine. Lindsay, of course, like every episode, super dramatic. If you remember last episode, it was Lindsay's daughter, who is a teenager now, who is, having teenage emotions and teenager attitude and all of that good stuff. Something that all teenagers go through. What I remember is after they were trying to play whatever game outside, Lindsay comes inside and now she's crying. I'm super confused, right? So we start off with this girl crying and I'm looking like, what are we crying about? How do we get from point A to Z without you telling me all of the different letters in between, right? Super weird. But their fake storyline, this is what Lindsay and Blaine has been giving us. She's crying. She's overwhelmed. She says she has too much on her plate. She's been taking care of the family. She's the only one that's working in the household. She's the only one paying all of the bills, right? So Blaine and her, they get into it because it's just like, well, wait. Like, Blaine is like, listen, I was taking care of the bills before. Like, you've only taken over things within these last couple of months on something that I've been taking care of you on. Who knows? Who cares? It's fake. Okay? So Blaine acts like he's packing up to leave as if he doesn't know that he has a whole ankle monitor on. And he jumps up in the car and then Lindsay goes, listen, you are in my car. So you drive it off of this property and I will call the cops so fast on you that before you blink, you'll be back in prison. I'm talking about, woo, that spooked me because here's the thing. Blaine should have felt so emasculated at that point. She talked to him like a child. It's so reminiscent to a child that gets angry with the parents and goes, I'm going to grandma, packs a little suitcase, heads to the door. Who's going to take you there? If you don't take yourself back upstairs and back to your room before I get upset, like that's literally how Lindsay handled him, was like a child, right? But whatever. I mean, y'all figure that whole thing out. We move on. Let's get to Amber and Puppy. Last episode, Amber and Puppy was arguing over the fact that TC does not like Puppy and does not want her anywhere around. And Puppy just felt like, listen, like he is taking you away from me and I don't appreciate that. First off, if he's taking Amber away from you, Puppy, allow him. Because Amber talks mad crap about you behind your back. Hence the reason why TC does not like you is because he knows all of you and Eric business and he's just like, this is like super duper negative and I want nothing to do with this. Okay, that is why TC does not like you. Whenever a close person to your so-called best friend doesn't like the person, 9 times out of 10 it's because that so-called friend is running their mouth. That's literally how that thing goes. And I know when you watch back this season at home, you're going to look and realize that. But in the meantime, in between time, Amber and agrees to go ahead and allow Puppy to come over to the house, right? So Puppy comes over to the house. TC's looking at her like, first off, why aren't you greeting me? And I agree. Puppy should have greeted. But, then they proceed to talk, and they talk about, Amber's drinking, right? They both agree that Amber definitely does have a drinking problem. Well, Amber rejoins and she's like, well, for sure I have a drinking problem, and it's gotten significant simply because of everything that I'm going through. Number one, TC, while you're speaking on my drinking, how about you talk about the fact that I had an abortion and you were nowhere to be found? How about you talk about the fact that the numerous doctor visits, you did not accompany me to not even one of them? How about you talk about the fact that I come home and I am in tears and you can't even console me? You look at me like a stray animal. And even I was just like, whoa, TC, what the H? You know what I mean? H-E double hiking stick. What in the world? Like, that is totally unruly. Let me tell you something. I dealt with a guy before that was like TC. And we were literally like serious, right? On the verge, like talking about marriage, all of these things. And then I went through a very traumatic experience. And he could not be there for me. He literally brushed it off as if I should brush it off, as if whatever. And I was just like, okay, now why would I want to marry this man? Why would I even want to continue a relationship with this man? Why? Because if I get married and now with you being my lifelong partner, and there will be other matters, as long as we're spending our lives together, there's going to be other traumatic matters that may take place, right? Okay, you've already showed me signs that you can't be there for me. Why would I now marry you? Okay, that's just that. But Amber cries it out. TC is still in that moment. Is instead of being like, hey, you know what? I apologize. He is being defensive. Amber walks off, and Puppy goes and console her. Yeah, that was pretty sad. Here's my thing though, Amber, you spent times in the past, judging Puppy's relationship when your relationship wasn't perfect. You literally said to Puppy that you and TC get along great and that y'all only disagreement was in regards to the Puppy and Eric matter when he had exposed on national TV that Eric used to sell drugs. Okay? That was their only issue, is when they're discussing Puppy. No, you guys actually have other issues, deeper issues that you guys need to work through instead of you talking about your best friend. Okay? Face your front, look in the mirror, and talk about what needs to be addressed in your relationship, and don't distract it with what's going on with Puppy and Eric. But that's all I need to say. We move on to Monique and Derek. They really gave us much of nothing. We leave off where we start with the leave off of last episode where Derek refused to hand Monique over the phone, and she makes him sleep on the couch in the basement or something, right? Okay. So now he decides to go and make her breakfast. And now he decides to hand over the phone. Of course, I'm pretty sure he has deleted things, but whatever. But she makes a couple of phone calls. And he's like, listen, you got to trust me. Here's my thing. Monique, you got to let all of this go. Because we know at this point that you're not going anywhere. Derek has admitted to cheating 10 times. Now, mind you, you did not know this. Like she says in an interview that she didn't know about the 10 times until they both watched it on the screen, right? But you say that in the interview and you're still there with Derek, right? And then Derek goes ahead and he confirms also that during that interview that he had cheated a month prior. And you're still there. So bottom line is Derek is going to do what he wants because you're not going anywhere. So you going through his phone, you going through his bags, you know what I'm saying, searching, like, probably smelling his body. You know what I'm saying? Like all of these things, it's pointless because you're not going anywhere. It is a waste of everyone's time, girl. Leave it alone. Okay. She goes and, she agrees that, okay, they're going to move forward with this. And they go to the club. And now the producers are trying to convince us that Derek got busy in the bathroom with the bottle girl at the club. You guys stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. I cannot take any more of these fake storylines. I just can't. I can't take any more of it. Okay? And another thing while we're at it, Derek, don't you ever on TV put whipped cream and try to do all this freaky stuff on our screen, okay? I need you to handle us like this is rated G, like we got kids watching. I don't know. Like we didn't want to see it. I could have went my whole life without looking at that, okay? And that goes for any of these couples. We don't need to see your freaky moments. Leave us alone, all right? So we move on, all right? Let's get to the meat and the potato, which is Sarah and Sean. They are the meat and the potato of this episode, right? Okay. We left off where Sarah has apologized to Sean about not telling him that Anthony has returned to Abby, her daughter's life, right? And Sean, he's not even more so concerned about Abby. Like he's just, well, in a way he says, well, you know what? We talked about me adopting Abby, right? Why is he now trying to return? He hasn't been there for the last 8 years. He hasn't done anything. You're not even really concerned about Abby, Sean. You're more concerned about him taking your young, hot wife, right? And I use hot loosely, but hot to him. I mean, Sarah's not an ugly girl. I mean, her foundation is a little bit caked up, but she's not an ugly girl. And it's a hot tenderoni in comparison to the women that Sean has dealt with. Like, let's be real. And you're worried about that because looks wise, it's not night and day when we look at Anthony and when we look at Sean, right? I mean, it's night and day. I mean, I'm not saying like Anthony is the most attractive man on the planet, but in comparison to Sean, like, come on, you get what I'm saying? So Sean notices that as well. He's just like, listen, I don't have time for this man trying to take you away from me. He may just want to get the family back. You've already told me in the past that drugs was the only reason why you guys had broken apart. And now that he's clean, that he may have an opportunity to get you back. And Sarah reassures him that's not the case. Even though I side-eye, girl, if it wasn't for these cameras, I do believe that Sarah would be running around here with an Anthony. But, we can't prove of that. So right now we move on. She tells him, hey, I want you to meet Anthony, before we continue on with things, right? So he goes to meet him. And immediately upon meeting, Anthony sticks out his hand. And Sean is like, I don't want to do that. What? How do you come to meet someone and you're coming to be rude? And it's all based on your insecurities of this man taking your family, right? So as they're speaking or whatnot, he was like, yeah, I just had to come to see you and to see like you're clean, you're this and that, because what it's about Abby and she deserves, the father and this and that. And the whole time I'm thinking, Sean, you have not been there for your own children, your own biological children. And you want to convince us that you're more concerned about Abby. And you haven't even been there for your own biological kids. You cannot judge Anthony. Okay? Anthony wasn't there for his daughter because he has a drug habit. You weren't there for your children, plural, okay? Because you were just an awful father. Like, you weren't even on drugs. Like, you weren't even in prison. You just was an awful father. And now you think that you can judge this man. Miss me with the BS, okay? Miss me with it. But anyway, towards the end of their conversation, now Sean decides that he wants to shake his hand. And Anthony shakes it, but Anthony is like, listen, that was super disrespectful. And if this was prison, I would have stumped him out. I would have whooped his tail because you don't do that to somebody. And I agree with you, Anthony. It was very rude of him. But Anthony, I need you to let it go. Let it go. So now Sean realizes how rude it was. He comes back to apologize to Anthony. He's like, listen, dude, like, the way I handled that, it was very wrong of me. It was very rude. And I apologize for that, right? And Anthony is like, no, like, I still don't like the guy. I don't like him because he didn't shake my hand. And I think that now, like, he's just, like, saying anything out there. And I'm looking like, Anthony, you just use this as an excuse as well. Because you in previous episodes had spoken about how you wouldn't mind having Sarah back, right? So let's not act as if like what Sean is saying is a little bit far-fetched. But at this point, he just has to trust Sarah. It's a matter of do you trust Sarah to do the right thing or not? Because Anthony says to Sean, listen, if I wanted to get her back, there's nothing you're going to do to stop me from doing that. And I was looking like, why would you say that to this man? Right? And Sarah should have made it perfectly clear at that moment, dude, I want nothing to do with you. Like, I am happily married. And this is strictly for our daughter. And if anything, shoot, Sean, accompany me the next time. You know what I mean? Like, she should have put security in her husband at that moment because Anthony tried it when he made that statement. But Anthony, you waited for that moment. You used that little bit of, he didn't shake my hand and I'm going to hold on to this forever. The man apologized. He shook your hand, came back, apologized for it all, expressed his insecurities about everything. And you are still holding on to this. Like, Anthony, stop it. Now this is about to be a matter of macho-ness of who's the tougher guy. And it's corny. It's super duper corny. That is one thing I agree with Sarah on, is that it's corny at that point, But that's this episode. Let me know your thoughts down below. Like, comment, and subscribe. I want to hear your thoughts on everything. Do you think that Anthony should let it go? Or do you think that he has a right to forever hold a grudge against Sean for not shaking his hand? I mean, what are your guys' thoughts down below? Okay? Like, comment, and subscribe. I will speak with you guys later. Bye.